Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It is Thursday, the 19th of August, 2021. Pretty nice day on the P&L for me. Only one trade. We'll get into. I had a little bit too big of a position size than I initially wanted, but it worked out well in the end. Nothing really else catching my eye. I'm doing well, not forcing shorts that aren't there, just staying like a sniper and not trying to, again, force things that aren't there, see things that aren't there, just taking what the market's giving. Spied a little bit of an update today. I thought it was going to roll over here at this point with how we were getting some nice red candles to the downside, and maybe we rolled over some more for a little bit of a downtrend here within this 420 range, maybe down to 430 or so, and then maybe a little perk back up. But closed pretty well. A little bit of a sell, but we'll see what it does. Market internals on the day, more housekeeping. NASDAQ, again, pretty low dollar volume, nicey, similar. And then OTCs, pretty nice, decent, again, 2.4 billion. Nothing crazy, but still kind of remaining the same at this point for what it's been the past few trading days, last few weeks. Getting into my trade on the day, SONN. This was a huge percentage mover. Spiking because of, I didn't even see a news catalyst to begin with on this one. It's got a float of 18.6 million, reported short interest of 11%. It is a American biotech. We like that. The daily was pretty downtrending as well too, but somewhat of a history of kind of gap ups, or not that one. Let's do that one. Yeah, some history of pretty nice intradays, but obviously selling off to the downside of these big red days here. So wasn't expecting for this to continue on like a VRPX type of trade, but certainly looking for a dip and rip type of setup. Kind of fell in love with or was attracted to the basing that was going on pre-market here, especially that it's under VWAP. I feel like it does tend to have a higher risk reward opportunity if it's under VWAP. If this was basing while it was still above VWAP, this kind of similar price action, but it was even still above VWAP, especially that it was pre-market still, I feel like that kind of tends to have more of a probability that it'll either shoot below VWAP, and then that brings in more opportunity for shorts to get in, for the pattern of the dip and rip to kind of be dissolved at that point. But I kind of like this because it's an obvious price low. We're getting higher lows here. We're building into market open, coming closer to VWAP. And yes, it may still have a little bit of a dip like it did here. I was actually expecting it to go a little bit more, maybe even break these lows and still provide a dip and rip opportunity. But I was just kind of protecting myself a little bit with these smaller entries. These first two were, I forget what they were. These were both 50 shares apiece. So I was like a max of a $200 or less position size going into market open, risking, of course, this little low here at 144. Kind of willing to give it up if this wanted to continue down and break that low, but then still maybe establish a little bit more of a base, a cleaner base, that it gapped up a little bit higher, or trended up a little bit higher, closer to VWAP with how low float of it is. But we did get a squeeze pretty much right off the bat and gapped here from 933 to 938. Immediately sold, so I was 10% was like 75 or so from that point. So immediately we gapped to 80 something, sold right off the bat there, 50 shares at that point. And it was just confusing. Price action was still defining itself. We got some spike, we got a fall, just more choppiness after that halt. Number 7 actually pointed out as well too. I was surprised at how quickly this thing halted. It wasn't like this was just crazy fast or volatile action. It was just, as number 7 described it, Jack number 2 in chat, this thing coming off of its previous trading days, it's been used to just trading so low and really illiquid that the circuits have such low volatility metrics, I guess is the best way to put it, that when now we have this huge volatility for some reason and huge volume coming across the table, it takes a lot less for this to move as compared to if it was a $10 stock and it was moving with a wider range of a wider price level versus how this is trading under $2 at this point, and even a 10-cent move is kind of crazy. The market maker's going, whoa, that's too fast, shut it down. So it was pretty evident, especially going through more this morning session, that a lot of halts were going to happen on this one if it was going to dump fast, especially after this exit here. Halt to the downside, halt to the upside here. Just pretty annoying trying to play this for anything longer than the morning session, but I did well with what I was trying to trade here. So again, I took off 50 shares at this point, took off half of the position, waiting for any more ramping. And then we actually were holding VWAP pretty well. We got a touch off. I was trading this thing all the time on the tick the volume chart here. So sold immediately. This is good representation. Sold immediately after the unhalt, and we pretty much bounced nicely off of VWAP. So I bought a few more at this price point. And then I was really saying to myself, okay, I got to be throwing more position size at these types of trades especially. I do feel very confident in how they trade and when I know how to manage the risk levels on these ones. So I was looking to actually add 300 more shares at this point, but my Thinkorswim software, I don't really know what happened or if that was my fault or the computer's fault of trying to click and add size here or the different stops I had in at this point. I ended up adding 700 more shares at this point, so I had a total of 850 shares at this price point, which was like, whoa, that's a little bit bigger position size than I initially wanted, but I was fine with it and willing to risk. Stop level was at 75, so if it was going to break VWAP, break this price level, and it was going to have to push through 75, I knew that was going to be the better risk level. Well, while still maintaining, maybe just perks a little bit, gets a few algos that have a super tight stop right under VWAP. I was willing to give it a little bit of breathing room while taking a little bit of slippage in that. And that was going to be like an $85 loss if it went south, which it didn't. I'm kind of glad it didn't. But you can see the awesome base here at 1.8, that it was just continually pounding 1.8, but bid never broke. And I was honestly surprised. I was ready to see my stop getting hit plenty of times as it was trading around here, and then we got the reversal thinking, okay, that was it, now we're going to break the new high days, and then it still rejected, went to 1.8, but then still just kept chewing around. Finally we get the move here to 1.9, we break this relative high, then we finally are able to break to a new high of day here. Meanwhile, again, I'm still saying, okay, we've got to push hard here now, because these are key technical levels that we're breaking and we're not moving away from price quickly. So I obviously took 10% off from when we got another perk into, this was a 10% area from, now my average was like 185, I believe, after those 700 share ads. So took off 10% in that strength, and that was quick acting of me fumbling around of adjusting the stop and getting out half of my position size here. I should really look into hotkeys. That would probably be better. But I could see myself screwing that up too with how I type on this keyboard. Able to take off 10% there and then just set a stop. Now that we were trading in this price action and then we're holding this high here of 197, especially here, I said, okay, now I'm going to set my stop just above my entry price to see if it's going to break down further, then the trend is definitely over. I don't really want to be in. And sure enough, that was it. This hard red candle push here was all these algos getting hit, just the dump and slam from overhead. That actually halted here. Yeah, halted right at VWAP and then dumped even more below VWAP. But then we get a quick spike right back above it. I was completely done with it. I wasn't even watching anymore. But then we halted back to the upside, failed to break a new high a day, and then that was pretty much it for the rest of the morning session, especially. And then you get a little perk here in the afternoon, but just fails once again, and a hard sell-off into the close here. So I don't really think this has anything left in the next few trading days, but that was good to see. At least something continue on, especially after this awesome after hours yesterday and decent pre-market here today. You could have called this a little bit of a morning dump type of short setup, but I certainly wasn't looking at this long. I wasn't even awake at this point trading anything on that, but that's a 10% opportunity plus 10+% opportunity even before market open there, and then still have the opportunity to get long to play this type of move. So good little win, $100 win. That was my only trade. I did fool around with 2 shares of KXIN, which was more of the degenerate type of trade, not KXIN, on what's the frickin' I don't ever remember what tickers I'm trading, and I just typed it in to my Excel sheet. I want to type it into there. VRPX, that's the ticker. Just played 2 speculative shares as we were around this point. I think it was around there. Yeah, just as we were holding decently well above VWAP. Just thought 1769 I got here. So it rejected that high a day, but it was still holding above VWAP. It hadn't totally died off yet, so I was like, screw it. Maybe it just goes berserk for some reason today. I'm willing to take $2 loss and set a stop at the low a day. if it does want to go crazy. Tried a little bit, but then failed. Just no volume continuing on this one. What is the volume on this one today? I got to type in the correct ticker first. Only 174. Is that right? Yeah, only 50,000 trades on this one today. $170 million volume. That's pretty ludicrous. So just fell off today. This is another type of trade too. That's the number 7, jack number 2 type of pattern that I'm always interested in. I feel like that's another next level of my trading career that I haven't reached yet, but just still inquisitive about, of when these things start to trend, when the trend, at least in the morning session, is red, just playing that trend. And I certainly don't have the balls yet, or the day trades, the cash account, to play those yet, especially on the short side. But I could totally see that, saying, okay, we had a big sell-off yesterday. Is this kind of the first red day? Yeah, really the first. It was green today, but really the first-ish red day compared to yesterday, especially with a weak pre-market today. That would have been good. But had to have a little bit higher of a risk level or risk tolerance with this choppiness in the morning, but that certainly would have been a good trade. A good single, at least. Other big mover, pre-market, SNOA. This thing was 100% by right into market, the morning bell. Immediately we get a halt in the first minute. Just ludicrous. I'm guessing and assuming there was a huge amount of shorts just looking to play quick downside on this one. They got screwed out immediately from market open. Insane amount of choppiness. Just this, after that halt, it's just red candle, up candle, just total wiki the whole time. Hard to try and play, and then we get this price move to the upside here, and then it immediately gets smacked back down. We get a bounce off of VWAP, and then it breaks VWAP again, and still looks like it's hugging VWAP at this point. Could go higher, but then just red, all these little tiny ticks here. Just very frustrating. So yeah, I certainly didn't play it. I was watching it heavily. Fundamentals on this one, they had expanded dental care line with new product for professional care in the US and a new product for professional and consumer care in Switzerland. Yeah. Super low float, 2 million, reported short interest of 3%. This is a American pharmaceutical company. So hopefully seeing a lot more of these come out more and more since VRPX started spiking again, and as we're stepping out of the summer months. But there's no follow through and just a huge amount of overhead. I think this one had a pretty tough daily as well too. Yeah, history of one and done spikes. Not that one. Yeah, just downtrending grossness, but the history of one and dones are there. Didn't play it, and I don't really even see myself playing this on the short side unless the trend was fully there. And this is another jack number 2 type of trade. When this high a day breakout gets rejected and slammed down, the trade opportunity is still there. You don't have to be in on these even before the new trend gets established. There's still plenty of time and opportunity to get short, get shares around this point here and play this fade here. This would have been a little bit of choppiness. They're scaring me out. Not necessarily scaring me out, but just giving me some easiness while I was sitting here with this, for me, a speculative short position for how well it was holding or what it could potentially do with such a low float. But certainly the downside was in on that one today, especially into the close. PMCB, oh my gosh, offering of $70 million at $5 level, just got smacked. Interesting that the pre-market here just had some huge spikeage. I wonder what it would have done if this offering hadn't come in. Look at this VWAP too, just insane how this thing fell off following that offering. Absolutely ludicrous, and then really did nothing. Just some more sell-off. Again, the easy trade is to go short at market open on this one. Just play the fade because this thing is done with that offering news. But again, how many of these have we seen just reverse or just even consolidate, hold closer to VWAP the whole rest of the day? Not that they're completely dying off or spiking hard, squeezing out shorts, but that it's just not a good trade opportunity to the short side. It's just wants to cross it off the list. It's just gross. And Bowen, I think, mentioned it well too, of somebody asking, why do these things even put out offerings, or why do they do this to us so consistently? Like they're doing it specifically to us on purpose. And he even put it greatly too, that because they can't raise money otherwise. They're just so completely sketchy companies that nobody will give them money, and they need to do this in order to get money because nobody else is going to give them money. The stock market is crazy, crazy, crazy. KXIN, I also wanted to mention. Looking at this one again, this one we've played a while. This had a pretty nice day, start of August, and I was watching this one for some technical levels a long time ago. But we're coming on some nice breakout levels here from these recent days, and a little bit here too from late 2020, early 2021. So if this thing was breaking, coming close to 3.5, I certainly was going to get long. Not a lot of volume coming in pre-market. This is just such a choppy mess. It's the Chinese sketchy company. The float is 18 million. So I could have done it, but just didn't have it in the bag today. Just started selling off immediately out of bell, and then I took it off my watch list. ESGC, I was looking at as well too from last night. Had it on the watch list as a potential short. I feel like I've seen a lot of these, whether they have a nice gap up day the day before or they have news after hours and they spike into the after hours close, and then they just have this fade and downtrend into the morning bell, and then even in market hours as well. Potential short, I couldn't even got short anyway through trade zero since it was a sub dollar, but identifying the trade patterns as they come out. Again, this nice overhead as well too, just a dump on that peak. Pretty nice. And then I did, oh shoot, I erased the other ones. Okay, and then some OTC runners that Sykes was playing TSOI, pretty nice run into the close here. Just so choppy, and the dojis, I just can't get over. The dollar volume on this one today, 3.5 million, 2,000 trades on it total today. The daily is pretty nice when you look at it that way, of this technical level that it broke over, and okay, any amount of this coming off this nice volume move here. See what it does. I'm not going to touch it or trade it or even hope for a morning spike on this one, but I'll keep an eye on it, see if OTCs are running. WDLF had a similar type of move, but just sank right before the close. Pretty sad. Daily nice again too. Could do something similar to TSOI on the daily, that maybe gets a little bit of curl or cup and handle-ish and starts to spike back up again. But that was really it. That's all I had. Pretty nice day, especially when I luck out and fat finger more than I should have and luck out at the end. That usually doesn't happen. That usually is a reverse of what my P&L looks like. But good day and good steps in the direction of the trader that I want to be, and not just chasing the SNOAs and the SONNs, and actually establishing a trading plan before market open and sticking to those types of trades. It clears my mentality too of just becoming so emotional and trying to trade it on a minute by minute basis, just freeing myself up to say, okay, the trade just didn't work, versus what am I even scalping those for to begin with. So great steps being made, great P&L to boot. Unfortunately, breaking this awesome red streak, there's a lot more failure to be made. I know it for sure, but we'll take those wins as they come. I thank you guys for watching. We will catch you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching.